Hey guys, it's Danny and today we're chatting emotional eating. Now, these days we hear a lot about emotional eating. So first, let me share my definition of what emotional eating is, right? So for me, emotional eating is when the desire to eat is being driven by a feeling or an emotion, rather than being driven by physiological hunger, right? So a lot of times we don't even really need to be hungry to be eating emotionally. Now, a lot of people would say that eating when you're not hungry or eating emotionally is some type of self-sabotage. But personally, I think it's quite the opposite. I think that eating emotionally is an attempt at self-care. An attempt. So some type of feeling or emotion arises that is unpleasant or uncomfortable. And do note that it doesn't necessarily have to be a negative emotion, right? A lot of times when we have big positive emotions, that can feel uncomfortable as well, right? So some type of emotion comes up, it is uncomfortable, and then we try to soothe or relax or create some type of relief by eating food. Now, here is the thing. It's kind of a brilliant strategy because in the moment, it works. The only problem is it's a very short-term solution because as soon as we're done eating, that underlying emotion is still there waiting for us. So number one, it does not align with long-term health and wellness goals. And number two, it doesn't really deal with the root of the need. So the real work that we need to do is identify the emotional need that is trying to be met and then practice learning how to care for and meet that need without using food as a short-term strategy, right? So in a lot of ways, this is like the ultimate self-care, right? So today I'm going to share with you guys a 3-step strategy to ending the cycle of emotional eating. So step number 1 is awareness. We have to be willing to take a look at the stuff that we don't normally want to pay attention to, right? So oftentimes we have an inner dialogue about what we should or shouldn't be eating. And then when we break that self-proclaimed set of rules, we tend to go into that, I'm going to do this really fast and I'm going to do it behind my back mode, right? It's like the F it. I'm going to zone out and we'll start again tomorrow, right? So what I am saying here is that think of it like this, right? So there's a bad behavior, and I use that term loosely, but right, let's say the overeating or the binge eating is the bad behavior, the emotional eating, right? So normally what we want to do is do it behind our own backs and not pay attention, right? Like this is bad behavior, I'm just going to sneak and get it done. What I am saying is create a little bit of space so that when this behavior arises and you want to indulge in it, rather than judging yourself, you actually try to get curious and interested and understand, why do I have the desire to engage in this in the first place, right? So rather than pushing it away, we are pulling it to the table. So what I'm suggesting is not that you try to will yourself to not eat the food. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is do what you want to do and then stay with yourself while you're doing it. Be really curious about the whole process. Like really, have you ever watched yourself eat an entire bag of chips before? Or have you ever just stayed with yourself while you ate the pint of ice cream? Like, wow, this is so interesting. How fascinating. I am so curious. Why am I wanting to eat the entire pint right now? What does that feel like? What is this providing for me? This is so curious to me. Because guys, you have to remember, we never do anything without good reason. So step number 1 is awareness and allowance, right? We just want to allow whatever is happening to happen so we can get really curious about what it's all about. Step number 2 is to identify the emotion. So once you have taken some time to practice allowing and having awareness around the actual behavior in the first place, I want you to get curious about what is the emotion that was driving that desire to overeat, right? Now this is going to be different for everyone, and it doesn't have to be big heavy stuff. I mean, sometimes it could be something as simple as boredom, right? But who knows? It could be anything. It could be happy, it could be stressed, it could be angry, it could be sad, it could be lonely. I mean, any of the above. But what you're asking yourself is, what is the emotion? What is the feeling that is creating the desire to eat? And then the third and final step is, once you have named the emotional need, then you want to ask yourself, how can I care for that need? How can I nourish that need without using food, right? Again, so this is the ultimate act of self-care. It is a practice of being in a deeper, more intimate relationship with yourself. It's knowing and understanding yourself, knowing what your needs and your desires are, and then learning how to meet those in a way that will A, really deal with the root cause, and B, will help to align with your long-term health and weight loss goals. And here's the thing, guys, I am not by any means suggesting that this is a fast, quick fix. It's not an overnight solution, but what I do know for sure is that this is where the work is, right? The work is not always on our plate. The work is not always about the food we're eating. Oftentimes it is about our relationship with food and understanding what that serves and how we need to take care of ourselves on the deepest level. So what I can promise you is that this work works if you are willing to try it differently and to be patient with yourself and to be kind and loving, accepting, and really take a deeper dive and a deeper look at what it is that you need. Because remember, our relationship with food often mirrors our relationship with other arenas of life. Extra weight on our body is a messenger, it is a symptom, it is not the problem. And so we want to learn to be in relationship with all of it as a means to having a better understanding of ourselves. So if you found this video helpful, please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe. And don't forget to share it with anybody else you know who could benefit from this information. And if you need some extra support, please come on over to our private Facebook page. I will leave a link down in the description box below. You know, it's a great place where people are sharing extra recipes, tips, successes, challenges, and it's a really great conversation. Plus, I pop in here and there and offer some extra coaching when people need it. So I would love to have you there if that's something that you guys are looking for, okay? Thanks so much for watching. I'm Danny Spies. I'll see you back here next time with some more food for thought.